What are the risks of implementing automation across your business? Anytime you use anything technology related or anything that involves technology, certainly there are going to be risks because, as we all know, technology is not perfect and automation is no different. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the three most common risks, the three most common things that could go wrong if you decide to implement automation across your business, and how to be prepared for them and what to expect when they occur. The first risk, or the first main thing that could go wrong, is either a connectivity issue or a data center issue. We'll start with connectivity, and I'm just talking about your internet connection. Now, that's really that's not a new problem to your business. I'm almost certain that you're using some services now, some apps that are web-based or cloud-based, that if you were to lose an internet connection right now, you wouldn't be able to use those apps already. So that's not really a new problem. But obviously, if you have automations in place, the automations that we set up for you are going to utilize those web-based apps, and the automations themselves are web-based. So if you don't have internet connectivity, then you may not be able to benefit from those the automations themselves may not be able to run at all. Now, the second step or aspect of an outage is a network outage or a data center outage. For better or worse, the vast majority of the apps and services that we all use every single day are hosted really by a handful of companies. And these are companies that have massive data centers. The biggest is Amazon Web Services, or AWS. Google has a platform, Microsoft has a platform, Facebook and Instagram have their own platform, and some of the other really big companies have their own internal platforms. But most of the apps you use, especially apps that maybe aren't big enough to justify having their own data center, they're using one of those big three, Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. And if one of those data centers, regardless of its size, has an outage or any type of downtime, and your app that you're using or trying to integrate with automations uses that data center, those things are all going to become unavailable, and there's really nothing you can do about it. If you have an internet outage, you can always sort of fall back to using your cellular connection as a hotspot, but if a data center goes down, you're really out of luck. And you're not going to be able to access the app, which would already happen whether you had automations in place or not. That's not really a new problem. But obviously, any automations that were supposed to run during that outage are not going to run, and you may not be able to run them after the fact. It just depends on the situation at your business. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, the second risk, or the second thing that could go wrong, is when an app just changes. So let's say you're using an app, you're using QuickBooks Online, and we have automations in place to take data from an invoice to do some other task. And one day QuickBooks decides to change how they store invoice data, and the integration we have in place for your automation, it breaks, it no longer works. That's a risk, and those types of things do happen. Not super frequently, but apps update over time. They make changes to apps, and depending on the changes they make, it could break an automation. That's the bad news. When that automation breaks, it's probably not going to work right, or at least not completely, until we come in and fix it. Now, our customers that hire us to handle their automation, the packages and plans that we offer do include monitoring and maintenance of all the automations that we set up for you. So if that occurs, you're going to have us ready to fix that for you. So we'll go in, we'll look at what changes the software made, and unless they made some drastic change that requires a lot of work on our part, we're going to be able to have that fixed typically within 24 hours for you. And then your automation will go back to working just as it did before. But you definitely need to have a plan for this. If you're not working with someone like us, you do need to have a process in place internally so that you're monitoring your automations every day, making sure they're working properly, and that you know how to fix it if something does break. Now, the third risk, or the third potential problem, is an extension. They don't have a dedicated individual or team on standby, ready to go, that can monitor and maintain their automations and fix problems as they arise. So whether you do your automations internally or work with someone like us, you need to have someone on hand that's ready to fix these problems, but also monitor and try to find these problems as soon as they happen or even before they happen. So a lot of the apps that we integrate most commonly for our clients, such as QuickBooks, we try to stay up to date on announcements from those companies. So if they announce a potential change that could impact your automations, we're trying to get out ahead of that. And that way we can schedule and know that, hey, they're going to make a change next month. All of our clients that utilize this app, we need to proactively set aside time to update their automations to account for that. So that's the type of thing we do for the businesses that hire us to monitor and maintain their automations. But you need to have a system in place, whatever you do. You need to have someone dedicated, whether that's an individual internally or an external team like us. One of the biggest things that can go wrong is companies implement all these automations and then something breaks and they don't have a means, they're not prepared to diagnose and fix it. And instead of being able to fix it in a few hours or a day, now all of a sudden this can string out for days or a week or longer, and their business can be quite handicapped at that point because their automations are not firing properly and things aren't getting done that previously were being done in the background automatically. So those are the three sort of biggest things that could go wrong, some of the biggest risks of automation. Those are the most common, but there are certainly others that are going to depend on your specific automations that are in place. And that's something that we can discuss during a consultation. And I always am upfront with customers and prospective customers. Like anything technology related, automation is not perfect. There are risks. Things will break. Things will mess up and glitch, and whatever word you want to use. It's technology. Things are going to happen. So I want you to be aware of what those things could potentially be. And I want you to have a plan ready, or a partner like us ready to fix them for you when they do happen. So that's something we can discuss. Reach out, request your consultation, and I look forward to speaking with you.